Hello everyone and welcome to Studio Jake. I of course am your host Jacob Airy. Before we begin, I just wanted to say that I don't talk about politics on this podcast as much. I try to avoid it, but I do think it's funny that Liz Warren finally dropped out. Miss Pocahontas herself, who got everything by lying and attacking and clawing the other opponents. She was a very inferior opponent, and I'm glad that she's gone because we don't have to listen to her make up stories about being kicked off of a job because she was pregnant, or trying beer in her home, or lying about being Native American. We can actually focus on the showdown between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. So that's very interesting. But that's not what we're talking about on the podcast. I just thought that was funny. We're actually going to be talking about Matt Reeves revealing images for the Batmobile. We're going to be talking about comments that Pratt made about his Avengers and Onward co-star Tom Holland. And we're also going to talk about Fruits Basket Season 2. So a lot to get to. Be sure to like this video, share it out. If you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button, ring that little bell, and turn on all notifications because YouTube is doing this weird thing where they're curating your feed so you don't see things in chronological order. Thanks, YouTube. And also, if you're on Facebook, like this video, share it out to your friends, follow me there, and turn on all notifications. With all that in mind, just sit back, relax, and welcome to Studio Jake. Matt Reeves, he's the director of the upcoming film The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson as the Dark Knight. He decided to reveal on Twitter images of the Batmobile for the upcoming film. He shared some first look images, and it is very different and more minimalist design than you've seen in recent films. If you can't see it, obviously, because this is an audio-only version of the podcast, you can go to my website, jacobairy.blog. I've got the pictures posted there, and a link to Matt Reeves's Twitter, where he is showing them off. This version has generated some controversy, but I'll get to that in a second. But I will say this Batmobile appears to look more like a muscle car, albeit one that has a rocket on its back. It definitely has an aerodynamic feel to it, made more for speed than surviving a fallout. And this is where a few people have criticized it, but I think it's more of a story for Batman's early days when he's trying to be more of an urban legend and more like they say, like a whisper, Batman's coming. And so I believe that is what the story is touching on. So for me, it doesn't bother me. I mean, compared to others, the feel definitely works. Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy focused on Batman being at war. So what they call it, the Tumbler. That Batmobile was more like a tank. It had some non-lethal gear and some lethal gear, I guess. But Batman didn't use it like that. It was big. It was bulky. Definitely more designed for urban warfare. Tim Burton's film was more like a battering ram, right? It was meant to look intimidating and sleek, and Batman would drive it and ram it into things to get the attention of the bad guys. He would use it in that context. It was meant to cause the bad guys to go ah when they saw it. And of course, Bruce Timm's design was meant to be more for speed and survival. And if you remember the first 3 seasons of Batman the Animated Series, it looked more like a missile. So it was longer, and it had like this booster in the back that would shoot it forward. It's definitely made for that kind of thing. It was not. Now, in the later seasons, it resembled the Batmobile in the comics, which just was supposed to look like Batman's car. It still had like some gadgets, but it was more, it had a long hood and a really big engine like the others did, but it looked more like a regular car. Now, Adam West, for those of you who might might remember or have seen on reruns and stuff, it was made to look groovy, right? Because it was made in the 60s, so it had more speed. It didn't have as many gadgets, stuff like that. It was to me. I still think for the time was good. Now, of course, Joel Schumacher and Zack Snyder, they went a very similar direction. They had long, kind of round shaped designs, very slim. Now, obviously, Snyder thought it would be cool to have Batman endanger civilians and, shoot down the bad guys by mounting machine guns on it and whatnot. But a few folks I know have complained that it looks that the one Matt Reeves has designed, or his, he didn't actually design it. He had people working on the film who did, but I'm saying him because he's the director of the film. People have said it looks too much like a regular car, and I think there's merit to that criticism. I've seen people put the pictures up and then they put Fast and Furious or Fast 9 or some connection to a racing movie to it. That doesn't really bother me that much because, like I said, it's supposed to be when Batman is in his earlier days. He's not being as conspicuous as he usually is in other films. So I think that's why I really feel like it's the right design for this film, and that's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Which is your favorite Batmobile? Let me know. For those of you who know me, know that I like anime. I'm a huge fan of the genre or I should say the style. Anime itself isn't a genre, but I am a fan of that animation style. I love animes. I've watched several. Some of my favorites include Mobile Fighter G Gundam and Dragon Ball Z and Steins Gate. Although I wouldn't say Steins Gate is one of my favorites, but it's definitely grown on me since I've watched Steins Gate Zero and the movie. My Hero Academia is one of my favorites. Attack on Titan. But to those who know me well, they're surprised when I tell them that Fruits Basket is actually one of my favorite anime, and I know this kind of surprises people. Why? Because for those of you who aren't familiar with the show, Fruits Basket is about this girl named Toru Honda who gets connected to this family called the Somas. Now, the Somas are under this curse where if a member of the opposite sex hugs one of the Somas, they turn into one of the Zodiac family. So Toru actually lives with the guy who turns into the dog, two of her classmates, one who turns into the rat, and one who turns into the cat. Now, the cat, his character's name is Kyo, and he actually is cursed because apparently there's this Japanese folk tale where the basically the queen of the zodiac or whatever invited all the zodiacs together to have an eternal banquet, but the rat tricked the cat into coming the next day, and the rat even rode on top of, I believe, was it the ox, and to get there, and the ox was the first in the line, but then jumped off to make it seem, as soon as they arrived, to make it seem like he arrived at the eternal banquet first, and the cat was left alone. So the cat actually is really cursed, and if I tell you with what, it gives too much of the plot away. But anyway, it basically combines fantasy with what's called slice of life anime, which is basically like our version of soap opera. Relies a lot on drama and human interest, and it does more character studies than action. So a lot of people are surprised when I say that I like it because it does seem a little weird, but I actually enjoy the stories because, again, one thing I like about anime is the men are just men and the girls are just girls. And yes, there is one character who's a cross-dresser. I believe it's the Soma who is a monkey. He actually turns into the monkey when girls hug him. And but they don't make it in a way where it's woke. So I do enjoy it. Season one, I really liked. I liked the original one. It was more like what you would think of when you think anime, like a lot of, breaking the third wall, kind of explosive reactions to things and whatnot. And that is a little bit in the reboot. The reboot focuses more on character development. So anyway, the creator of the show, Natsuki Takaya, he is actually the creator of the manga. I correct myself. He released a statement about the upcoming second season, TMS Entertainment, which is making the new anime, they've had him on as sort of story consultant, which is smart. And he said, and this is posted on the Funimation blog, excuse me, Funimation Entertainment does the English dubbing. So anyway, Takaya says, "Congratulations on the broadcast of the second season of the anime Fruits Basket. I appreciate all of those who are part of its production for their continued involvement from the first season, and I am very happy that I can observe as the title reaches many viewers. To tell the truth, even though I wrote the original story, there are often details that I've forgotten. It has been more than 10 years since I completed the series. That's why I'm brought to tears when confirming the scenario, and I wonder who wrote such a painful story. It was me. This keeps happening, so I think I might dehydrate myself from fluid loss if I watch with the addition of video, voices, and music. I'm a little worried about that. The characters in the second season have lost their way, but it's because they are lost that they can make the most of it and struggle to search for the right path. I hope everyone will watch over them until they find their way. It would give me the utmost joy if everyone will love them as they search. I look forward to watching as a viewer myself." So this is really great. I love it when film companies and animation companies bring in original creators to work. Of course, some of them that's impossible. Obviously, Bruce Timm and Bill Finger are no longer alive, so they can't bring them in to discuss Batman. But I really think that if that opportunity is there, they should do that. And obviously, Marvel Cinematic Universe did that with Stan Lee. They brought him in and let him cameo in almost all the films. So I really think that that's one of the reasons why this Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of existed for so long, is they allowed the Stan Lee, who was, even if he didn't create or co-create some of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he was there when they were being created and watched them evolve. So, and probably wrote one of the comics or two. So anyway, I'm actually excited for Fruits Basket Season 2. It's supposed to premiere in April. So this is kind of a funny story, but Chris Pratt and Tom Holland, you might know them because they were in Avengers Infinity War together. You know, there's some controversy over Chris Pratt's character Star-Lord, how he handled the situation, and did he let Thanos win and all this. But I actually thought this was kind of funny. So they've been working together on the Disney Pixar animated feature Onward, and it's kind of a fantasy movie that, you know, where there's elves and dwarves and all this, and but they've modernized. They've become like us. They're not magic anymore. And Tom Holland's character in the movie, he turns 16, and his father left him and his older brother a like a wizard staff basically, and it allows them to talk to him for 24 hours. But something goes wrong with the spell, and so they have to find a way to bring him back fully, because they only bring up to his waistline basically, and so they have to find a way to bring him all back so they can celebrate their them becoming men basically. And it looks really good. It looks really cute. The reviews that are coming out about it are really good. So I thought this was kind of funny. Chris Pratt shared a few photos on his Instagram of them. There's one where they're just kind of like laughing, and then there's one where they're trying and succeeding to look cool. I have the link on my blog again, so you can head over there and check it out. But he, in the caption area, Pratt wrote this. I thought this was so funny. "I really can't say enough good things about my friend Tom Holland. He's dashing, charming, handsome. He's an amazing dancer. Like, could actually, in all caps, save the universe in a dance-off. An incredible talent, but more importantly, a really good bloke." And I'm sure bloke is because Tom Holland is British, but you didn't know that. Pratt continues, "Humble, kind, and good at golf. Basically, I hate him. You know, like enough is enough. Anyways, see us in Onward this week." So I thought this was kind of a funny comment. Chris Pratt is always like incredibly classy in his stuff, and of course the dance off thing, "Save the Universe" in a dance off, is a reference to Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, where Chris Pratt distracts the main villain. Chris Pratt is Star-Lord. He distracts the main villain with a dance-off in order to see if they can stop him from completing his thing, and the distraction works and all this. It was really funny. You'll have to check out Guardians of the Galaxy. I believe it's on Disney Plus now, or you can rent it wherever movies are rented these days. But both of them, of course, have been in films together already. They were in, like I said, Avengers Infinity War. That's where they had the most screen time together. They were both in Avengers Endgame, though I don't think they actually interacted. I think that they just were in the same scenes. Obviously, that had like a massive cast of characters. So I think that was just really cool. Like I said, Chris Pratt, everything he does is incredibly classy. He's a really fun, smart, cool guy, I think. And so I'm looking forward because he's actually launching his own production company called Indivisible Productions. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of movies he's going to produce. And it would actually be nice. Again, I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's awesome. But I am looking forward to seeing Chris Pratt and Tom Holland be in a film together, and so maybe they'll be in one together from Indivisible Productions. That would be fantastic. I would love to see them interact that way. Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Holland, of course, were together in the current war. I've not seen that movie yet, so I'm not going to give my initial thoughts about it. But it's really cool to see these actors because they've all been in movies together in the Marvel universe for so long. It's really interesting when you see them in movies outside that context. So I'm looking forward to that. That's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Parler. It's at RealJakeberry on all three of them. Really easy to find. Of course, my Facebook page is author Jacob Airy. YouTube is Studio Jake. You can find my website, which is jacoberry.blog, jacob.blog. There I have way more stuff. I've got movie reviews, I've got commentary, I've got entertainment news, I've got books that I'm reading, and I also talk about comic books and nerd stuff, the stuff you're not supposed to talk about. But I have all of that, and also pick yourself up a copy of my book, The Seven Royals. All good things. It's a fantasy story with knights and dragons and magic and beautiful princesses and evil villains. You'll definitely want to check that out. You can get it on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com. You can download it from Apple Books or get it directly from my publisher at BookLocker.com. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.